Hello, we are the Geeks and Degenerates. I am Enzo, and it's my forever co-host John. And today we are talking about a heavy, scientifically accurate movie, which is Interstellar. Unlike the previous movie you did, which was Armageddon. But that's fine. You do you. If you prefer one or the other, that's totally cool.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You're free to like whatever you like.
So, did you watch this at the time it came out in 2014?
God, no.
Even
Well,
though
then
it was
what?
Christopher Nolan?
No, I liked Christopher Nolan. It's just like forgot what came out in 2014. I think I mean I didn't have money to watch movies just leisurely.
Willy Nelly, like you do now?
Yeah. Like I can't just go. I would like to watch a movie right now, like how I am now, since I am employed and I'm grown up.
Yeah.
Don't mind the Batman T-shirt. But yeah, like. So I don't think I watched it in theaters, and I heard people say that like, "Oh, watch it in IMAX or watch it at your best theater because the sound's great, the visuals are amazing." I was like, sick. Sadly, I watched it probably 2 years later when it came out. I wasn't much of a like. I wasn't much of a what do you call it? Christopher Nolan fan besides his like Dark Knight stuff.
I did watch this when it came out. I think my family and I did a double feature of Big Hero 6 and then this, which is like two opposite ends of like how you like your movie stuff. Like, I like a fun action adventure, and then this is like heavy on the science of like, I need to do some research before watching this, apparently. And like, I didn't really know any of the cast aside from Anne Hathaway. Yeah,
Curtis.
Damn, in a Christopher Nolan movie, making it big time. Who knows? Maybe one day. You never know.
Maybe.
And Michael Caine. I was like, oh, I've seen Batman. I didn't really know much about Jessica Chastain or Matthew McConaughey because had I seen Wolf of Wall Street? I caught trailers of the Wolf of Wall Street, but I never got to watch it because I was like, it doesn't look interesting. Because at that age, I was like, why do I want to watch a movie about Wall Street?
Yeah, you don't really see a teen going, "Oh my god."
Yeah.
Martin Scorsese. Actually, nowadays we do, but like
back then,
back in the day, yeah, no teen was like, I would go out of my way to watch Martin Scorsese movie.
Yeah.
And spend 3 hours of my life watching sadness.
Yeah. All I knew was that it was Christopher Nolan. I was like, oh, I like this Batman stuff, and I had watched Inception, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'll watch this. And then by the end, I was like, I'm still in high school, and my brain's about to fall off my ear.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, this movie made you rethink high school.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a scene here that we'll talk about, but yeah, go on.
Yeah, I do like the setup that the world has no more food. It is in a deep crisis of like, this is essentially an extinction level event of like. But it's just slow
yeah,
torture.
I hate that shit.
Yeah.
When I was watching, I was like, humanity's fucked.
Yeah.
In 20 years. I'm like, oh. like you see that like they're making corn and stuff, and some foods are processed and not doing so well.
Yeah.
You get the environment. Why was there like forest fires again, or like there was fire in them?
There was fire because the crops were just dying. Like, oh, we can't grow this anymore. Just burn it because it's using space, and there's giant dust bowls because how the Earth is now evolving to us, essentially.
Yeah, and then you just see Matthew McConaughey just driving through a whole field of corn, useful food to chase a drone.
Yeah. I probably forgot that young Timothy Chalamet was his son. I was like, oh shit.
Same here. Yeah, I was like, oh shit, it's Timothy Chalamet. I was like, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Also, did you hear that like Christopher Nolan somewhat bought land?
Yeah.
Or rented out that land to grow corn just for that scene?
Yeah.
So I was like, damn. Okay.
The girl is Mackenzie Foy she's from a lot of things actually. She's from The Conjuring, she's from forgot what else, but it's one of those faces where like, oh, I recognize you. You're from this and that. I forgot the name of the dad, the actor for the dad, but he was in Rise of the Planet of the Apes. He was in The Crown. He's in a lot of stuff. But yeah, it's just the world is just fucked, and you're like, what do we do now? Our food's running out. That's why in high school they're like, oh, your son is smart, not that smart to be an engineer. He can be a farmer because the world is in desperate need of this, of farmers.
Yeah, and and then there's what's her name, Mackenzie?
Yeah, Mackenzie.
Oh no, Murph.
Murph.
Murph is
Yeah.
too smart for her own good.
Yeah.
She starts telling them that, hey, we actually put people on the moon. The school is like, no,
Yeah.
we can't teach people that because that gives them hope. And that gives them hope. They right because why can't we give them that hope?
Yeah.
Which is a very valid thing to like. I get it, but at the same time, that's kind of fucked up. Where they could rewrite history books just like that. I was like,
Yeah.
what?
Just revising history on the whim. You're like, oh shit.
Right? Which makes me think. But I was like, what else have they tampered with?
Right?
So I'm like, I didn't know that was an option in the government to be like, you know what? This thing is not necessary. Space travel isn't necessary. Let's not teach our future generation that.
Yeah.
Which is so surprising. I was like, shit. You could just erase knowledge just like that.
And then that's why when you discover NASA, they're like, there's a reason why we don't tell the public that we're still doing this shit. Because it's like, they'll be like, what the fuck? You're still making spaceships to go to space when half the world, most of the world is starving.
Yeah, and I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it that, like, their office is pretty much like, I forgot what you call it. It's something where a rock would come out of, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a silo? Or like, I forgot what
Yeah.
to do.
So, like, they're that, like, garage-esque NASA.
Yeah. I do love the line of Cooper's father, who's played, I remember now, John Lithgow, when they're watching the baseball team, and he's like, back in my day, we used to have real players. Who are these? Amateurs. You're like, you can apply that to anything else in life.
You already see the situation with, like, how regular life is.
Yeah.
Cooper, by the way, I love Cooper's character.
Yeah.
Where he's a farmer. He's this engineer / pilot that, like, had such big dreams. That's why he's, like, chasing after drones, shooting them down sometimes. And, like, he just wants to rekindle that passion of becoming a pilot / engineer again, working for NASA and all that jazz. Which is why they're like, weirdest thing too. I don't think if ever you broke into NASA, they would give you a job.
Right?
They're like, hey, you're probably one of the brightest minds here. Want to join? Instead of, like, shoot you on sight.
Right? Like, oh shit, our cat's right, kill him.
Yeah, right?
But no, that's where you meet Michael Caine's character, Professor Brand, and Emilia Brand, who's played by Anne Hathaway.
And that's right.
Yeah. And they have the solution of, like, maybe if we go explore space and discover habitable planets, that there'll be hope for mankind. And Michael Caine, Professor Brand, has, like, this equation for gravity. He can solve, and if he solves that, that's how we know that mankind can live in space. If we can bring the rest of mankind, and that'll be good. That's the solution, and that's why they do all this. Me and John are not scientists, so we can't really explain most of the shit. But yeah,
don't take our word for it at all.
No, we're just going how the movie plays it. But yeah, Cooper selected to fly this mission along with Dr. Brand and the other guy, and, like, 2 others. But Murph is devastated because you don't know when you'll be back. It's space, and they're going to travel through a wormhole to go to the other side, to another galaxy. So that's, like, decades of your life without your dad, and she's devastated. And then John Lithgow's like, hey, don't leave her like that. Can you repair stuff? But she's still like, please don't go. I don't want to go. See the ghost in my room that's been bothering us, saying don't go.
It's saying don't go. Yeah, I was like, oh shit. Yeah, she's having this whole fucking poltergeist moment.
Yeah.
Which threw me off, because I really thought this whole movie was just like, hey, it's just space.
Yeah.
couple of guys trying to fix Earth by going into space. And they're like, just this whole ghost aspect. I was like,
Yeah, me
what's
too.
going on?
And then it communicates by what do you call that?
Morse code.
Yeah, thank you. But yeah, Cooper has to go, and poor Murph is like looking at their dad as he leaves, and like, oh, poor family, poor Mackenzie Foy and Timothy Chalamet, as they're just watching their dad leave for God knows how long.
I hate those scenes where the main person leaves and their loved one kind of shuns them because they chose to leave,
Yeah.
but for a greater cause. As soon as they have left, that's when they're like, "Fuck, I regret it all." I'm like, man, that shit was rough.
Yeah. And then he leaves and they fly to space, and just to get to the other side, to that wormhole, it's like 2 years. Unlike once they pass. I always like it how when you're outside the space shuttle or inside the space shuttle, you hear nothing, just you can hear a pin drop, and that's just
Yeah.
you're in space. It's not like Star Wars where it's loud and bombastic, or any other sci-fi movie like Alien or Predator. This is like realistic space. Christopher Nolan did his research, and just the silence. I remember that being the most vivid thing in the theater, of being like, there's no noise at all. Oh,
You
yeah.
just hear a guy in the background going, like they start coughing.
Or just opening the popcorn by like.
Yeah, somebody like rummaging around or fixing their trash.
But yeah, it is cool details, and like they are like charting their course in space, and like they brought along like two rectangle robot-looking things with weird humor of like, oh, we're all gonna die. Thanks, Doctor.
Oh, but
Cooper.
I love those things though.
Yeah.
That is like probably one of the best robot designs I've seen. Like,
Yeah.
it's just this monument thing that
Yeah.
kind of belongs in like 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yeah, exactly. With a bit more personality, you're like, you know what? I dig this.
Yeah, that shit was funny, and it started flirting with Anne Hathaway too. I was like, the robot got more risk than I do.
Apparently.
Okay.
And the fact that they have to go to cryo sleep before they can go to the wormhole, you're like, again, that makes sense. Of like, it's like, we'll just sit here and do jack shit for 2 years.
Yeah. No, but I hate that though. Like, you lose your like a sense of a sense of time.
Yeah.
When it comes to space.
Yeah.
And that's like a big factor. Like, you want him to go home as soon as possible.
Yeah.
But like, damn. And then they get to like the first planet, which was it breathable? I don't know.
It was the water planet. And like,
Yeah.
before that, you see like their loved ones send messages, and you see Timothy Chalamet become Casey Affleck. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh shit, I forgot Casey Affleck was in this. Which is funny because Ben Affleck was in the last space movie we did. And we have Casey Affleck being like, oh, things are going fine. I met this girl too. Like, we buried the baby in the back, and things aren't going so well. But my wife has a second baby. Like, and then you see Murph all grown up too. Just like, I would really like to know that you're still alive, because you said before you left that we would be the same age, and now would be the perfect time.
That sucks.
And I think that's the scene with Matthew McConaughey just bawling. You're like, oh, my heart.
Yeah, where he's like, she is the same age as he is.
Yeah.
Like, right now, and we're like, fuck!
And then the planet they're on, like, a minute on the planet, it's like...
Sorry, an hour.
An hour on the planet. It's like
7
years.
I was like, fuck. Off. I hate that, though.
Yeah.
I really do. I hate it when the movie or the story, like, traps our main character in a place where man's losing it all as longer he stays here.
Yeah.
Thus making us like, go, hurry the fuck up.
They're on the planet because they have a signal from a previous action, and they're like, alright, where are they? And you see, like, debris on the water, and you're like, I think they're gone. And you see, like, this ginormous tidal wave coming after them, and the first guy who's from Secret Life of Walter Mitty, the dick boss, he just gets swept away. Like, oh fuck.
Well, he's down.
Yeah.
Which is so weird because, like, how does that make sense?
Right?
Like, right, it was like ankle deep with the water, or like knee deep.
Yeah.
And then you get this tidal wave that's fucking. I'm like, does that happen?
That makes sense though, because like in our world, before a tsunami happens, like you're on a beach, and you're like, oh, it's just ankle deep water. You don't see the until you see the threat coming on towards you. Like, oh shit, that's my death. Oh, I got to run.
But I hate like that shit's freaky because you see it's like the size of what Burj Khalifa like coming at you. Like,
Yeah,
Jesus.
you're right. Fuck. And then the worst part is like Dr. Brand's like, why didn't you leave me? He's like, what the fuck do you mean? Leave you? You're a lead scientist. What the fuck do we do if we leave you? Just hold our dicks in our hand. That's what we're gonna do.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And the fact that this is the only time that I think Christopher Nolan does this type of action well, the suspense of like, oh god, they gonna make it? Like if it's fisticuffs, you're like, oh, this is kind of lame, Christopher Nolan. But like if it's like you versus nature, and like I don't think I can win that. He does it pretty well. Like the ship barely takes off. It's like leaning on the side of the wave, and you're like, if this movie ends with them dying, I wouldn't be surprised. All of them dying, I mean.
Yeah. I also love how the robot works.
Yeah.
Like it starts spinning.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, again, it's a legit cool design. And then when it's in the ship, it just becomes like the dashboard,
Yeah.
which is fucking cool. But yeah, going back to the scene, what happened to the guy on the ship? The guy they left on the ship.
He just waited.
How long?
It was like 20 plus years when I got back. So at a point, he was like, I just didn't want to sleep my entire life. That's when I get back, he has like gray hair. Like
Gray hair.
Yeah.
I think I would have offed myself by that point.
Really?
I cannot do that.
Like,
I really can't.
Are they gonna come back?
Yeah, that's like my thing. I was like, am I just gonna go insane?
Yeah. I didn't even
Until they
realize
come back.
the astronaut that crashed, it would have been like a couple of minutes for that person. But for them, it's like, oh, it's like years already. So like
Yeah.
they just arrived on that planet's time, like, but for them it's years, and they would have been, if they timed it right, they would have seen them, but they were just too late.
Yeah.
Um,
Time and space.
but when we go back to
Very
work and see Jessica Chastain, this first time since I was still a teenager, I was like, damn, I think I really do like redheads. But Murph is doing work with Professor Brand and trying to solve this equation, even though Professor Brand is getting old and hoping against hope that maybe they'll come back. And then he gets stroke or something, and then she's like, it's alright, Professor, everything's gonna be fine. They'll be back. He's like, no, you don't get it. I lied to you. I sent them off to find a home, to start colonizing, not to bring the rest of the humankind to go with them. So, y'all down here are just fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she had to break it to them.
Yeah.
Too. Or you, like, this piece of shit, the old man, fucking lied to everybody on Earth.
Yeah.
Especially to the scientists who are not in the know.
Yeah.
To be like, yeah, we're not gonna make it. I'm like, you could have told us that.
Yeah.
Dick. Sorry.
That's fine. What else happens? And then, like, since they're on the planet for so long, they're like, we only have fuel for Dr. Man's planet, and they do that. But Dr. Brand's like, no, I want to go to this planet. And before that, they had this conversation about love, and they're like, oh, you want to go to the alternate planet because you want to see your love interest, and that's why you're compelled to go to it, because it's love. And in the back of your mind, you're like, is that Christopher Nolan's one hokey dude if he's like, love is the answer? Like, sure. In this crisis,
yeah,
sure.
I also thought that was gonna be the route of like, love will save humanity kind of bullshit, but I was like, no, it's Christopher Nolan. He ain't like that.
They do go to Dr. Man's planet, and like, lo and behold, who do you meet there? It's Matt Damon. You're like, the fuck? You're never in the trailers. Yeah, exactly. But this is a year before, so you're like, the trailers never said jack shit about you. Oh, okay.
It was very surprising. Thus giving us the meme after The Martian where Matt Damon's the most expensive man on Earth.
Everybody wants to find him or rescue him.
Yeah.
And then that's where we also get the message of Murph telling them of like, hey, us down here are fucked. Y'all are safe. And then Cooper's like, that's impossible. And Dr. Man's like, yeah, your dad already knew the solution, and that's leave everybody on Earth to die, essentially. And Anne Hathaway's just like in disbelief, and Cooper's like in more disbelief because he's like, I have to go back home right now. Right now. I'll help you set up, but I have to go. And then he and Dr. Man take a stroll, and he's like, I admire your will to survive. That's why you want to go back. But I can't let you do that. And you're like, what? Just removes this device, and they start doing fisticuffs on the side of this desolate planet. He's like, I lied. There is no surface life. We can't live here. I just want to go home. And he's like, and then Cooper's like, you goddamn coward. And he starts cracking Cooper's helmet, and you hear poor Cooper just choke on unbreathable air. And you're like, this is uncomfortable. Why?
It is. I say this is the most where Christopher Nolan kind of played into his like skill, where he was like, I don't make a good fight scene on Earth. Here's a fight scene on another different planet, which makes it like a little bit more cumbersome.
I like how Dr. Man was so desperate to go home when he starts headbutting Cooper. He's like, wait, you'll kill us both. He's like, fuck it. I'm already dead.
Yeah. I love that concept of like, if you just leave a person long enough in space, they will fucking go mad.
Yeah. Dr. Man said himself, like, I thought I could do it, but essentially the isolation breaks you down. And like, the last time I went to sleep, I didn't want to wake up. You're like, fuck. Alright.
Yeah. And he was supposed to be like that. He was that guy who was like the Jesus of NASA.
Yeah.
Like, well, we'll get there optimistic the entire way, and then you just see him break down. I'm like, it gets the best of us.
Yeah. And then we get the stand scene after one of the robots blows up and kills one of the last astronauts. So it's just Dr. Brand and Cooper left, and Dr. Brand rescues Cooper, and then they go after Dr. Man while he's trying to dock and their shuttle. And like the thing is like blaring, like, please, you're doing it incorrectly. It's not even locked correctly. Something bad will go wrong. And he's like, you know what? It's fine. I'll just a species, and he gets sucked out of the airlock. Like, oh fuck.
I was like, not gonna lie, when I saw this thing, I was like, rock on. Like, again, if I was that person, if I were to be an astronaut in space, and you're like, hey, we're gonna go down to that planet, but once we get back, it's 20 years later. I've been like, nope. I'll fuck you guys.
Can I go home?
I would like to go home. No.
Can I just go home
don't,
and wait?
Don't keep me wait. I'm not that patient.
Can I go home and wait 20 years? Please.
Yeah. Or take me with you.
Yeah. And then we get my favorite part of the movie, where it's the station spinning and Cooper has to correctly dock it. And you're like,
yeah.
How the fuck do you do that?
Yeah, as you said a while ago, like, when it's against nature or kind of like you're fighting the situation instead of fighting an antagonist.
Yeah.
Christopher Nolan does an amazing job at doing that.
Yeah, like, why is this scarier than fighting Bane or the Joker? It's because it's something you can't really control. It's just gravity doing its work on space, and you're like, how do you dock properly?
Yeah, but yeah, Cooper's a pilot.
Yeah.
He did it.
And he's like, alright, and for my next trick, and then you hear the alarm. You're like, oh, by the way, the huge black hole we were worried about earlier, it's sucking us into it. And you're like, fuck.
And then it does.
Yeah. They had to maneuver like, oh, we need less weight. I'll sacrifice one of the robots, and Dr. Brand's like, alright. And I'll sacrifice myself. She's like, what the fuck? What do you mean? He's like, I'm sorry. It's the only way. He's like, what? Don't leave me. He's like, sorry. Bye.
Wait, was this one of the robots?
No, it was just Cooper. He detaches from this.
Oh! Yeah. Again, I would have not been able to cope with that if the only human being left was like...
Yeah, I was like, can I don't even know how to go back home. Like the wormhole scene and the black hole scene where you're just helpless against the forces of whatever, and you're just shaking. The whole thing is just shaking. You're like, I am scared out of my mind for these characters.
This is a thing that I was like kind of pondering on when it came to like a ship being in a black hole. How can you register physics
Yeah.
when you're in a place where it's like kind of fucky wucky. You know? When physics doesn't really kind of matter anymore. But why is the thing shaking?
Right?
Should it be shaking? I don't know.
So just disintegrate along with Cooper. He's like, well, I am no longer two-dimensional or three-dimensional. I'm now zero dimensions.
And like, I love the camera angles that the ship has. Like, it kind of looks like a GoPro that's sticking at the side of the ship.
Yeah.
So as it goes through the wormhole, you're kind of like, because usually when that happens, the feed cuts off.
Yeah.
But here we're seeing it everything. I'm like, is this how physics work in the wormhole? I don't know.
Yeah. I like before that in the wormhole, Anne Hathaway has an interaction with like a being with weird ghostly figures. You're like, is this supernatural or just sci-fi? I'm confused. And then you get your answer in the black hole where Cooper, it's revealed that Cooper is the ghost because these beings of whatever, these 5-dimensional beings decided like, oh, we'll make this understandable for the human for some reason, so he can interact with Murph, do the Morse code shift, and we get the the meme of Murph, don't make me leave, Murph.
Which was a pretty heartbreaking scene.
And all the while, Murph is getting Casey Affleck's family tested because of like, I can save you guys, but like Casey Affleck's like, get the fuck out. Like, alright, dick bag. But then she goes back, she realizes that the ghost is Cooper, starts interacting, and then it's the part of the movie that most people are like, I'm out. Because like the ghost, Cooper helps her solve essentially the gravity equation. You're like, fucking what?
With the help of the beings giving him the knowledge.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. Fine.
Yeah. Like watching in the theater is like, fucking what?
This is the thing. This is why I asked you before we started filming, is that you kind of have to carry me through Interstellar. Because I did not get this ending.
Neither did I. I was like, oh, he helped. The equation is good. And then Murph is celebrating like, we did it. I was like, did fucking what?
Yeah.
Somewhat smarter. I'm sure you'll comment down below.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah.
But all I know is that they were like, capers. I'm like, you solved the equation, but now we gotta clean it up. Thank you.
And then, like, after that, the beings are just like, we're done with Cooper. Alright, they just jettison out to space. You're like, you could have put him on Earth, you jackasses. But sure.
Yeah. But anyway, how does he get back again?
He's found by future society where the Rangers find him like, oh, you had just minutes in your oxygen. And then he gets to enjoy some normal life. He also gets reunited with Murph, who's now played by, forgot her name, but she's the mom in The Exorcist. Eleanor Burstyn, I believe her name is. It's a touching scene of like, oh, you don't have to stay with me because no parent should watch the child go. You're like, that's true. At the same time is a bitch, but so fuck you, time. You can be with Dr. Brand because she is dead ass lonely. She is in her lover's planet, but I don't think her lover's there anymore. She is colonizing it. So you can reunite with Dr. Brand and be in love and all that jazz. And which makes sense because this entire movie, you're like, I think there is something between Dr. Brand and Cooper.
Yeah, there's chemistry, but there was this one itty bitty part where they were like, oh, the love of my life is somewhere.
Yeah.
And then they find out he's dead. And then they get sucked into him. Black hole. The whole concept of the cylindrical space station, Gundam.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's where they got the idea from. Like the whole 360 gravity holding everything in place. Gundam.
That makes sense.
Oh, Christopher Nolan. It's nice to see that Christopher Nolan does watch like anime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really, his favorite movie. One of his favorite movies is Tokyo Drift. And you're like, who knew?
It is one of the best ones, in my opinion.
But yeah, it's implied that Cooper goes to be with Dr. Brand, and that's where the movie ends. And like, most audiences by that time, they were like, I clocked out minutes ago. Because like, I turned to my mom and sister, they were like, yeah, we don't like this movie. We're like, that's fine.
It's okay. I kind of I was very invested at the beginning, but like as we get to the ending, you're kind of just like, okay, like you're not invested anymore. You're kind of like you're not doing the whole problem solving with the main character, which is I say a key part to a movie like this, which makes it engaging.
Yeah.
You know, like solving a mystery. Here, you're kind of like trying to figure out how can they fix this. When they're like, up Deus Ex Machina, these godlike beings gives you infinite knowledge, thus helping them save human race. And then you're just along for the ride now.
Yeah. You're just there to vibe, and by the end, you're like, all right, cool, Christopher Nolan, please, can your next movie be somewhat normal? And it's Dunkirk, and you're like, okay. Aside from the fuckery with time, until you get what's happening in Dunkirk, you're like, huh? And then you get like, oh yeah.
By the way, Christopher Nolan, when it comes to your space movies, can you bump up the volume a bit?
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, I get it that you invested the majority of your money into the camera, but like,
yeah, most of them were like, he said what?
yeah, right. Like, I think my mic picks up more audio than whatever mic they used in the movie,
Right.
and my mic shit.
Well, it's a good movie overall. Is it his best movie? I would always go with The Prestige, to be honest.
Really now?
Yeah, I really do like that. I don't know. I have a thing for magicians, I guess.
Okay.
It's
That
that
made me think, what is
and
my favorite Christopher Nolan movies besides The Dark Knight?
oh, it's yeah, Prestige and Batman Begins. Because I am always like I believe, in my opinion, Batman Begins is a superior Batman film to the other two.
Yeah.
Heath Ledger's Joker is amazing, but that being said, Begins is awesome, better for me.
I really like Tenet.
I haven't seen that yet.
Really?
Yeah.
It's really fucking good. I really suggest watching it. You get to see Robert
Pattinson.
Pattinson, like, dude, who doesn't act like Batman? Like, you know, he does a really good job. You should watch it, but I suggest wearing like good headphones for that one because Christopher Nolan does that thing again where the mic's kind of shit.
Yeah, yeah. What else are Christopher Nolan? You know what? This is Interstellar is not as mindfuckery as for me at least as Memento. Where like if you don't pay attention, you're just like, what the fuck is happening? Because you're like, so the beginning is not the beginning. The beginning is here, and the end is somewhere in the middle, and the middle's at the end, and this part's at the beginning. You're like, what the fuck?
I haven't seen Memento yet, so
Okay.
yeah.
I can't think of other Christopher Nolan's movies aside from the ones we mentioned.
Yeah, I feel like we mentioned majority of them, but I really can't wait for Oppenheimer.
Yeah. Did you hear him be like, the audiences will be able to feel the magnitude and the heat of the explosion? You're like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, you're just like,
Christopher Nolan's like, check under your seat. It's a bomb.
And next door is Barbie being like, what the fuck was that?
Dying from radiation.
Oh, man. But yeah, before we go on a tangent, as if we're not already, what would you rate Interstellar?
Interstellar, in my opinion, was a really good movie. Oh, one thing we did mention, the fucking soundtrack. Hans Zimmer, my
Jesus
God.
Christ.
They were like, hey, Hans, we're doing a movie about a guy who goes into a wormhole. You don't need to go big, and then the piano starts catching on fire.
Right.
Like, Jesus. Good job on that. That's a 10 out of 10 on its own.
Yeah. Like, as I said, because it's all sound, and then you hear the score, it's like, oh, alright, we're in it.
Yeah.
Something important's happening.
Yeah, so for me, that's a 10 out of 10 when I talk about, like, the soundtrack or OST. But, yeah, I would say I would give it an 8. I would give it an 8. Something step above Armageddon, because if I put it in the same level, I feel like I'm doing it a disservice. Because there was a lot of scientific mumbo-jumbo that was probably correct. I'm not really sure. But other than that, it was a great movie. It was a good roller coaster ride. But I would say the ending is a little. As I said a while ago, you were just along for the ride by that point.
Yeah.
You weren't really gripping your seat like, is he gonna make it out? No, he makes it out. Deus Ex Machina kind of deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will also give this an 8. Like, again, all the mumbo jumbo of, like, I think it's correct. I'm sure Nolan did his research properly. So I'll trust in him. Because I don't understand what's being thrown at me most of the time. But the visuals are great, the characters are great. As I said, the soundtrack's amazing. Just the overall, like, just looking at it, you're like, God damn, if this is the wallpaper on, like, your wall or your computer, people will just stop and stare and be like, that's fucking gorgeous to look at. And you're like, damn right it is.
Yeah.
Aside from that, I don't have other complaints other than that. You know, for a normal human who just like, I don't watch a space movie, this might be a bit too much for you. I'll be like, why?
Yeah. Were you about to say layman?
Sorry, yeah, I just.
Yeah, I was also like, yeah, how can you incorporate that word?
Yeah. But that's fine. If you can't grip it or like don't prefer this over other movies, that's fine. You know, movies are subjective and your opinion is valid. Whatever it is. As long as you don't harm people or yourself. But yeah, that's been our video on Interstellar. I cannot wait for Oppenheimer. You can tell we are excited for that movie. Even though for sure that might be a bit on the depressing note, but still. If you want to see more of us, please like, subscribe, and ding the bell icon to get notified of when we upload next. We're also on Spotify and TikTok to see our best and funniest moments, Spotify to hear us on the go. Individually, you can find me at Delphus995 on Twitter. How about you?
Oh, you can find me at JomGeo_ on Instagram. It is my account.
And we have one more space movie for this lineup, so we'll see you there. Bye, everybody.
Ciao.